Welcome to this week 4 edition of Smoky Mountain Sports. I'm Daniel Sparkman along with Brian Hamilton. It's been a great week in athletics here in East Tennessee, in college and in high school sports. So, Brian, it's also been Labor Day weekend. I'm jumping back before the summer.
I do that all the time. It's just because it's always on a Monday, and you get confused which one's the one in the spring and which one is the fall.
Right.
Yeah, I do that.
And
I do it all the time.
I know it. And this is the first holiday we've had since the 4th of July, so it's been a couple of months since we've had a holiday. So I know I got a lot of work around the house done, but what'd you get done this weekend?
A lot of sports. It was a busy weekend from Thursday night to Friday night games, and then Saturday. And then had some family in town this weekend. Still have some family in town, so it's been a really busy weekend here for me. But it all started on Thursday night because we had a lot of games this Thursday, more than usual. I think we had four games going on Friday night in high school, and then we had 3 more at the college level. So.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot to keep up with. I'm sitting here Thursday night on the Twitter updating scores, and I'm like, man, we usually only have 1 or 2 games to keep up with, but this was a busy Thursday, and it just continued on through the weekend.
Yeah, it was. Once we added college, things get interesting.
Everybody decided they wanted to play on Thursday except for Maryville College.
Yeah, September 1st.
I went out to Maryville College on Saturday, and it was a heck of a game for my first college game covering for Smoky Mountain Sports.
Got rained on a little bit, though, didn't you?
Did. And then in the first half and the second half, it was as hot as could be. I mean, I got sunburned. So it was the tale of 2 halves, really, in the football game and with the weather.
Yeah, well, we'll talk more about our college teams coming up a little bit later in the podcast, but let's take a quick look back at last week. It was our week 2 top 10 and see where things shook out. We had 5 undefeated teams starting in our week 2 top 10, and they were number 1 was Alcoa, number 2 Maryville, number 3 Sevier County, Jefferson County, Morristown West, Gatlinburg Pittman, Lakeway Christian. We've talked about how good they have done with their 2-0 start. The Kings Academy, South Doyle at number 9, and then Morristown East at number 10. So, Brian, let's go ahead and jump in. We still have 5 undefeated teams in our coverage area, but we do expect that to change this week because 2 of them are head-to-head. Right.
Because we've
2
got
of them are head-to-head, and
the big game of the week.
2 others have some pretty tough games.
Yeah, we've got the big game of the week, which might as well be for most people in the Blount County area. This is the game of the year. You have Alcoa at Maryville. So that will decide our season-long debate of number 1 versus number 2. People may say, what made you put Alcoa 1 above Maryville 2? Really, I mean, it was just almost flip of a coin. Just some of the players that they had coming back on Alcoa. There was the uncertainty issue of how Matthew Clemmer would perform at the quarterback, and some players at the skill position, especially receiver for Maryville, and they've done fine. But there has just not been enough for me to swap them because. So they've had 3 really good showings, the Rebels have. But, that first week, almost get the shutout against Heritage. Second week, I go out to Powell and watch them, and so they didn't cross the 50 till the second half. Powell did, and they're playing with the backup quarterback too. So now if they were playing with their starter, maybe, that starts to sway me. They scored 2 late scores, made the score respectable. I think that one was like 38-13. And then last week, really against Farragut, they really kind of let the guard down a little bit early because they allowed, within under 2 minutes left, a touchdown, onside kick, and another touchdown just thankfully, Farragut was not able to recover another onside kick. But now let's go to our interview from Friday night with Maryville head coach Derek Hunt to hear a little bit what he has to say about that finish that they were able to escape with Farragut coming into town, and also his take on the Maryville Alcoa game this week.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a great win for us. Farragut's a good football team. And they can do some stuff that can put you in a bind on both sides of the ball. I really thought we executed well in the first half. Second half was a little sloppy. We did some things that we just can't do if we want to go score points and get off the field. But it's good to see. I mean, like, you want to be tested going into games like this, going into playing Alcoa. So they've definitely tested us tonight. I mean, it's a big week. It's special. Maryville Alcoa is a great rivalry. It's the best rivalry in the state. Non-region game, so it doesn't hurt you in playoff seeding, win or lose, but it's always one we want to win. So, I mean, our kids get excited for it. Their kids will be up. Alcoa is a phenomenal program. It'll be a tough game.
All right, we've talked about our number 2 ranked team in the Week 3 top 10, Maryville, but now let's talk about their opponent who is at number 1, Alcoa, Brian.
Yeah, Alcoa is, I really don't know, and we'll have to talk about this later about what a spread would be in a pick 'em, but I don't know who would be an upset. So, hate to say, Alcoa could come in and pull the upset for the first time since 2018. It's been that long since they beat Maryville. But this year's probably one of the best chances they have had in recent memory to do so. They had Northview Academy come in on Thursday night. They really took them behind the woodshed, 61-6, and Alcoa just got off to one of their patented fast starts, and they never looked back. So that game was exactly what I expected. I think they actually covered the spread that I had, too. They definitely did. I think they gave 40, 42. They won by 55.
And as we continue down the Week 3 top 10, number 3 once again this week is Sevier County. They're at 3-0 after a win over Knoxville Central on Friday night.
Yeah, Knox Central, I really liked Sevier to win that game going in. Knox Central came into Sevierville, and they were turned away as this was an 8-8 game at halftime. Both teams touchdown, 2-point conversion, but Sevier County was able to pull away in the end, 21-14, to remain undefeated. So that's really impressive because Sevier County hasn't had an easy opening schedule by any stretch. They probably have the toughest schedule right now up to this point that anybody's played. Because, it doesn't look that way with Carter being 0-3, but, Carter's had a tough schedule as well. But they've been able to navigate it with a very good Jefferson County team in the opener, edging them, then Carter in overtime, and then a good, not great, but good Knoxville Central team. And they've all been one possession, one score games, and they've managed to pull them out. So Sevier County is looking very gritty offensively and defensively so far this year.
And at number 4, we've got Morristown West, and they took on Davy Crockett in our game of the week last week.
Yeah, Morristown West, they really have showed a lot of fight. They got down a little bit early in this game, and the game was close, and they were able to pull away. It was 17-6. Davy Crockett adds a field goal, but Morristown West and the Trojans were just too much in the end, and they actually jumped Jefferson County. So that was one thing that was interesting. But this was a good Davy Crockett team. They were undefeated, and they beat them last year and knocked them from the ranks of the undefeated. So you've got to give props to Morristown West being able to do that and do it convincingly this year.
And I said week in and week out, man, I challenge those guys, the offensive staff. Let's find a way to get our playmakers the ball in space and let them do what they do. We want to be balanced and getting our guys touched so they can go score and be a threat. and make this offense real hard to defend. And so tonight, we're going to find a way to get to Tyson. And we have Brett come up and make some plays. Jack came in later, make some plays. And so we keep spreading around. We think we got a chance to be really good on something special offensively.
And speaking of Jefferson County, they come in at number 5, and they took on William Blount at William Blount on Friday night.
Yeah, the reasoning here for the jump was just the quality of that win over Davy Crockett. To be honest, Jefferson County has looked very good since that opening loss to Sevier County, but as we, kind of keep moving forward, we saw that, it was probably Cherokee because, Cocke County didn't look good. They actually lost to Heritage, who had not won a game since 2010. 2020.
Oh, I was
2020, my bad. Yeah, so they had not won a game since 2020. Heritage hat. That would be bad if it was 2010. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that was who they beat to go 1-1. And then, last week was another game that just, there was William Blount didn't bring a lot of fight. So, and that's a team that's struggling with the loss of quarterback, kind of do it all, Matthew Clemmer, who's at Maryville now. And they're really got a new coaching staff. They're really reeling a little bit. So it's going to take some time for that new coaching staff to get things going in the right direction. But, yeah, I mean, you're looking at some teams that we might have 2 total wins or so between them after we get to November. So, quality of opponents, not great, but the way Jeff County has beaten them keeps them from dropping down any further. But Jeff County is going to have its chance to notch some convincing wins here very shortly.
And, yeah, I mean, every team has a rebuilding period. And coming in at number 6, we actually have Lakeway Christian, and they have not been in a rebuilding, but they've been in a building period. And this year seems to be a very positive year for them after they won on Friday.
Yeah, Coach Thad Wells comes in his first year. And, when I talked to him back in early August, talking about the facilities, he took me in, showed me kind of their practice facility. I mean, they have top-notch facilities, some just as good as Alcoa, Maryville. They're a private school only in their 3rd year of existence. And he said, with the facilities and the resources they give me here, I think the football program, the girls' basketball program is already a contender. Softball finished 3rd at state. Boys' basketball. Mm-hmm. It's just football has had a rough time. He's a 3rd coach in 3 years. And he said, I think they're a sleeping giant. And he's proven that right. I mean, they are way ahead of schedule. Already 3-0, and I'm not sure. I think that if you count on the field wins, they had a couple COVID wins the last 2 years. That is more on the field wins than they've had in the school's history. 3. They've not had that many. Their only win the first year was a COVID win. 1 or 2 of the wins last year, I think, that helped them get into the playoffs were COVID wins. So, I mean, they've not won 3 games on the field without those forfeits. So it's impressive.
Yeah, it's great to see. Now, they do, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but they do have a big test this coming weekend. So they may or may not get to 4-0.
Yeah.
So up next at number 7, it's Gatlinburg-Pittman.
Gatlinburg-Pittman, I hated to drop them back a little bit, but somebody's got to take these, take these up and coming teams out, for the other teams to be able to move up. Gatlinburg-Pittman played a, Austin East team that was expected to be much improved. I didn't see it, but they looked about like the same Austin East from a year ago. They snuck into the playoffs with the 4 seed, I believe. But, it's more of what Lakeway is doing that had them jump Gatlinburg Pittman than what GP is not doing. You know what I'm saying? And GP's got a very tough test this week in Loudon. So that's a team that just lost to Sweetwater, and that win was so convincing. The Sweetwater jumped up into the rankings now at number 9 of the Sports Writers poll here. So I mean, you're getting Loudon coming off a loss, so they're going to be angry. And this is a game. I went down to Loudon. It was a Thursday night game a year ago, and it was tough game. They ended up losing it by I think about 3 touchdowns, but it'll be interesting. We'll talk more about that one later.
Yeah. And at number 8, we've got South Doyle. They moved up a spot from number 9 from last week because the Kings Academy had a loss. But South Doyle, a 12-point victory over Scott at home last week.
Yeah, South Doyle, they jumped out quick, but they really kind of allowed a few touchdowns late in the game that gave them some trouble sealing that win up. But nonetheless, they were up enough points that it didn't give them any real trouble. And, TKA, they fell to a Howard team that was not supposed to be a threat. I had expected them to keep moving up the rankings with that win. Well, they have Howard coming at home and beat them, a team that didn't play a year ago because Howard forfeited due to COVID. And I guess, they didn't have any film to go off of from last year. So Howard snuck up and bit them in the rear.
Yeah, and it was a close game too. It was 19-12, but still a hard loss for TKA.
Yeah, TKA, they did have a chance to win the game. Honestly, they scored that late. It was 19-6 for a while, but they had a chance there. Got another possession at the end, but it just wasn't meant to be.
And at number 9, we have a return to the top 10 all the way back from week, let's see, our preseason, our preseason top 10, Seymour.
Yeah.
They're back at number 9.
Seymour took that 41-13 loss to Gatlinburg Pittman in week 1, and they have quietly strung together a couple wins over Cherokee and Volunteer, albeit not great teams, but it's just how Seymour has bounced back and being able to string together those 2 wins. And now they have an opportunity for another this week as Reeling Cocke County comes into town, who really took one on the chin last week, losing to Heritage, who had been about, somewhere between 10, I know at least 12 straight losses. I think it was more than that. So I'd have to go back and look at my numbers on that. But it was somewhere between 12 and 15 straight losses. And they were the victims of that losing streak ending on Friday night.
Mm-hmm. And then rounding out our top 10 is Granger after a close victory at home against Sullivan East.
Yeah, that's a team that beat Pigeon Forge last week. Well, not this past week, but 2 weeks ago. Pigeon Forge, they actually got in the win column this week. But yeah, that was a very hard fought game by Granger. So they were number 10 a couple weeks ago, and they enter our top 10 again, because they got booted out after that blowout loss to Greenville. But we're kind of forgiving there due to the fact that everybody gets blown out by Greenville, kind of like Alcoa and Maryville. It's one of those teams. They're not in our coverage area, but them and Elizabeth and a lot of teams get embarrassed by them.
Well, that is a look at our Week 3 top 10. As you can see one more time here on the screen, Alcoa, Maryville, Sevier County, Morristown West, Jefferson County, Lakeway Christian, Gatlinburg Pittman, South Doyle, Seymour, and Granger. Now it's time to preview our Week 4 games. We're going to start in Pigeon Forge, Sevier County coming to town.
Pigeon Forge and Sevier County. This game a year ago, I remember, was not for the faint of heart. It was 14-0 Sevier County. It's going to be at Pigeon Forge this year. It was at Sevier last year. I don't think it's going to make a lot of difference because Pigeon Forge doesn't seem to be the same team they were a year ago. They seem to kind of headed in the opposite direction early on, and Sevier County seems to be going in the right direction. Now, that may change, but I think Pigeon Forge is really just their offense has looked anemic at times. Just trying to move the ball, but they did it on Friday with a 54-0 win over Union County. Maybe Pigeon Forge's offense has kind of found some rhythm, but Union County. That being said, Union County is 0-3, and they have not been anywhere close to winning a game. I don't think they've scored in double figures yet. So I think it's going to be a very tough game for Pigeon Forge, even at home, up against 5A. This is 3A versus a 5A. So that was going to be tough either way. But they really played Sevier County tough last year. I just don't know if, they can hold them to even 14-0 this year. So that was a very good Pigeon Forge defense last year. And, they're allowing more points this year than they did last year.
And we touched on this next game a little bit earlier. It's Gatlinburg who's hosting Loudon this week.
Yeah, Loudon's without their all-state quarterback, Keaton Herrig, from a year ago, who's the coach's son. But Herrig, his father, is still manning the controls there. So anytime that Loudon, is playing football, you're going to see a pretty good product. So the Redskins, they ended up beating a couple weeks ago, beating Lenore City in the battle of the bridge, and then last week they took that loss to neighboring Sweetwater. But I think that it's going to be difficult for Gatlinburg-Pittman, even at home, because Loudon's going to be looking to bounce back, surely.
And the next game, we're going to talk about Cosby taking on Red Boiling Springs.
Yeah, Cosby and Red Boiling Springs, this is a team that, just Cosby they've been lighting up the scoreboard, and it has been quite surprising, I guess I would say. Now, they've not beat a team that's had a win yet, but they're going to have that chance when Red Boiling Springs comes to town on Friday night. And I really think they can do it, especially if Tyler Turner, he had 5 total touchdowns, 3 through the air, 2 on the ground last week. If he keeps up playing to his abilities at quarterback, then Cosby can go as far as Turner can take them.
Yeah, we look for a lot out of Cosby.
We do.
So we talked about Lakeway Christian earlier and how they've had a great start at 3-0, all of them on the field wins. But this week they are going to Silverdale Academy.
Yeah, Silverdale Academy's 1-2. A lot of times there's this type of team. They're out of Chattanooga, and this is really what's going to be a tough test for Lakeway is traveling to Chattanooga down there. So pretty decent road trip for them coming out of Morristown area. It's going to be roughly 3 hours. So they've got to travel down there and come back. So Silverdale's 1-2, but they're one of these teams you don't know what to expect from. Some years they start off 7-1. Some years they start off like they have this year, but it's going to be a test. This is going to be probably outside of the first game with Grace. It's going to be that type of game where they got down 14-0. They had to come back. They were able to hold off Grace 26-24. This is going to be this type of game. It's not going to be like that North Green game. This is going to be a tough one for for Lakeway if they want to stay in the ranks of the unbeaten.
And we'll get your prediction on that one coming up in a little bit later. But now let's talk about this week's game of the week, likely the game of the year, who will have a lot of playoff implications. It is Alcoa versus Maryville.
Yeah, like Coach Hunt said earlier, it's a good thing that this is not a region game for each team, but both teams certainly want to win that game, as he emphasized. So, man, I hate I have to give a prediction on this one shortly, but, Alcoa, Maryville, this is the game you want to be at. I'm not going to another second game to try and get the first quarter or so this time. I'm staying at that game all night, because like last year, Maryville got up 17-0. They took a hefty lead into halftime. They only win by 3 points. So, Alcoa stormed back in the second half. So this game is never over. And you've got 3A versus 6A, but Alcoa is probably outside of Maryville. And, I wouldn't even say outside of Maryville. Under Oakland right now. Oakland is obviously king in the state right now because they've dethroned Maryville the past 2 years. Alcoa and Maryville are right there, neck and neck under them. Like I had somebody tell me the other day, outside of Maryville and Oakland, really, I think Alcoa can beat anybody else in the state for a state championship. So basically that's saying they could win every division as a 3A except for 6A. Saying they could beat West, they could beat Greenville. I had somebody tell me they didn't think Greenville and Alcoa would be a game. They thought that Alcoa would take them behind the woodshed. I was like, I'd love to see that game. Because Greenville's a very good team, and if you think Alcoa could put a whooping on them, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, last week we ended up not having a Friday Night Bites due to some scheduling issues, but we did have a little special Friday night sound bite from Maryville, from the town, not the school. But tell us a little bit about that, Brian.
Yeah, well, obviously, like Daniel said, we weren't able to get anyone on this week. Probably poor planning on my part for my, but so we got one this week and we're ready to go. But I got you guys a little bit of a sound bite Saturday night sound bites. From, as you know, Morristown West, they defeated Davy Crockett on Friday night. So Saturday night, after I'd covered the Maryville College and Berry College game, I go to see this band. I don't know if you all have heard of. It's called the Kentucky Headhunters. And near the end of their set, right after they play Dumas Walker, they go into this song and they play Davy Crockett. So we're going to play you a little snippet here of that song since we couldn't give you our full-length feature Friday Night Bites. That was pretty nice, wasn't it, Daniel?
Heck yeah, that was a nice version.
Yeah, but, nonetheless, on Friday night, Davy Crockett was not king of the wild frontier. Morristown West was.
Yep, that's right. Oh, man. So we are heading.
I had to work that in as soon as I heard them play.
I know.
So we got to work this in.
It's always good when you can add a little color to the podcast.
Right.
So now for our actual preview of this upcoming Friday Night Bites, we stick with Maryville. It's the Maryville-Alcoa game, our game of the week. So, Brian, where are you headed this week?
This week we're going to be recording at the Hop Diner, and this is a 50s drive-in that's in the Eagleton community of Maryville, and I'm super pumped for this. I'm going to have me maybe a burger, fries, onion rings, maybe, and a shake. That's what it's all about, man. Those drive-ins are, they're almost.
I think we need to see you in a poodle skirt and on roller skates.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see that. You remember when they first opened up the Sonic back where we were from in Jasper, Alabama? Everyone was on roller skates, and then I think they just realized that it was too much of an insurance liability.
Hey, look, I went to Sonic the other day down here, and the dude brought our food on roller skates. I was quite impressed.
Yeah.
I guess it's up to the worker.
Oh, yeah.
If they want to do it or not. Yeah. Now, time for our college preview. We're covering 4 schools this football season. We're going to start with the Vols are going to Pitt this week.
Yeah, Tennessee coming off a big win over Ball State last week. It got out of hand early with that pick 6, and Tennessee just never looked back. So Pittsburgh being on the road, that's going to be a tough game for Tennessee. But I don't know if I'm supposed to be picking these, but I guess I will since it's UT. I think UT, they're probably not going to have that much of a spread, but I like Tennessee by a touchdown or 2. I think this will be a very close spread. I'm sure it's already out, but I haven't looked it up yet.
Yeah, they got a lot of momentum coming off that Ball State victory. It was a 49-point victory over Ball State. So
and then
they've got some enthusiasm.
Yeah, and then Pitt's coming off a very tight win over West Virginia, which was the same night. Both teams have equal rest, so they both played on Thursday night. So that should be interesting with each team having. It should be interesting with each team having about 9 days to prepare.
And now we're going to preview Maryville College, who is going to Center College. Maryville College coming off a loss to Berry, 24-31 loss last week.
Yeah, and to talk about this game, it was Maryville couldn't move the ball well early, but they were able to get some momentum in the second half with 2 touchdown passes. They had the ball with a minute left, and were unable to get it down the field, so they have to give the ball back to Berry. Berry throws a 50-yard touchdown pass with 16 seconds left, and that was all she wrote. They had like 2 plays when they got the ball back, and one of them was a sack, and just unable to do much with it. But this week they'll be going to Center in Kentucky, and they will actually be playing at it'll be at the Danville High School field instead of the college. And this is where Ben Fox, who's head coach of Maryville College, this is where he was the offensive coordinator before taking over the Scots in 2021. I think this will be a great game. And let's go to Coach Fox now and hear some of what he had to say about this past week's loss, and then what he has to say about the upcoming game versus Center.
Yeah, I think what happened is, Jamarcus, obviously they had a broken play, and he kind of got hit from the side or behind, I don't know, he tried to land on his right leg, and it kind of buckled on him, and it obviously scared us, and I'm really worried about him because he's one of the best players on the football team. He's a dynamic player and an incredible leader. And then, I think it appeared that they went with a double move up top, that their receiver, the boundary receiver, kind of stuttered at the sticks and took off. And we had a freshman corner playing, and he bid on the double move. Well, look, I'm obviously really excited. Both those guys were really highly touted, heavily recruited kids. We had a lot of players leave through graduation. We'd had a lot of receivers that had stayed for a long time. We had like 5 senior receivers, something crazy last year. And then obviously Santos left, and so, which is fine. And so all those things happen. And so we're like, man, we need a real influx of not only bodies, we need dudes. And so really, really proud of those kids for the moment not getting too big.
Our next game out of college is going to be Carson Newman, who's taking on Franklin Pierce, coming off a defeat at West Georgia this past week.
Yeah, Carson Newman went down to West Georgia, who has a very good program, and they were turned away 38-7 on Thursday night. And now they'll get an opportunity, to win their first home game as Franklin Pierce comes in, and they have lost their first game to Edinboro 10-7. So you've got two teams that are going to be fighting for their first win of the season on Saturday afternoon. This game will be at Carson Newman at 1 p.m. on Saturday.
And our final preview for college is Tusculum at Chowan. Tusculum had a good victory, 70-13 against St. Augustine.
Yeah, Tusculum just came out and, Thursday night in their opener and put on a fireworks show. This game will be at 1 p.m. too, but it's at Chowan. I expect Tusculum to win this game. This could be a team that ends up having a very good season if they keep up the offensive firepower that they put on Thursday night.
And Brian, that does it for college preview. Now it's time for your favorite segment of the week. It's the Weekly Advantage, where Brian picks who he thinks is going to come out on top, and I know he's looking forward to picking.
How'd I do last week?
The Alcoa Maryville game.
How'd I do last week?
What'd you say?
How did I do last week?
Oh, how did you do?
Yeah.
So we previewed Northview Academy at Alcoa. You picked Alcoa to win by 42, and they won by 55. So they covered your spread on that one.
Yep.
Knox Central at Sevier County. Not so good. You picked Sevier County to win by 7.5, and they only won by 7.
Well, it was close.
That'll teach you to go with those 0.5s, won't it?
Uh-huh.
Farragut at Maryville. You picked Maryville to come out on top by 18, and they only won by 13.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that onside kick.
So close.
That's one of those where you have something crazy happen at the end and you lose your bet.
Yeah, but these next three you did pretty good on. Cosby at Jellicoe, you had 9.5, and Cosby came out on top by 27. Lakeway Christian at North Green, you had at 15.5 for Lakeway Christian, and they won by 38. And then Davy Crockett at Morristown West, you picked West to win by 5.5, and they won by 22. So a pretty good showing overall, I would say.
Well, let's see if we have another good showing.
All right, so we're going to start with Sevier County at Pigeon Forge.
So Sevier County at Pigeon Forge, like I said earlier, I think that Pigeon Forge is more outmatched than they were a year ago. The first two games kind of showed me that, they just aren't really on that level with a 5A like Sevier County. Now, Sevier County this time last year, they were they were reeling a little bit. They had that Carter loss, and they lost to Central. So they're 1-2 this time last year. This win got them to 2-2 over Pigeon Forge. This year it's going to get them to 4-0, and Sevier County is going to win by 18.5. That's what I give the spread. So it'll be Pigeon Forge minus 8. Pigeon Forge plus 18.5.
Yep. All right. Loudon is coming to Gatlinburg Pittman.
Oh, this is going to be a tough one because I like what Loudon does, but Keaton Herring's not in the backfield this year. And they're coming off that loss to Sweetwater, and I hate to say it, but they're going to be coming off another one this week. I like Gatlinburg Pittman minus 2.5. This is going to be a very close game, but I like Gatlinburg. They play well in the thicket, up there with the most beautiful backdrop in our coverage area. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be able to come up with it. They've got a great student section, and I give Gatlinburg Pittman the edge. I do.
Yeah, I can see that, especially with it being at home.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Cosby versus Red Boiling Springs.
Well, I tell you, Cosby, we're talking about them getting that win over a team that finally had a win. And I believe that this is the game where the Springs will boil over. Cosby is going to win this game, and they're going to win it by 10. So I'm going to give Cosby minus 10. I think they're going to continue on to 3-1. They've got a good shot to win this game.
Okay. All right. Now, how about Lakeway Christian visiting Silverdale?
Lakeway Christian, I think they're going to stay undefeated. And I think it's going to be close. I'm going to say, and there's a lot of these are close. These are some tough pick'ems. But I think they're going to go down to Chattanooga, and I think they're going to come away with the win. But this will be the toughest test I think they've had this year. They're going to have to battle from behind some, I think. It's not going to be like the last two games where they really just took the bull by the horns and were able to salt the game away. It's going to be, like I said earlier, a lot like that game with Grace in the opener. I think that they will win by 4.5. So we'll go Silverdale at home plus 4.5.
Now to the one that you have been looking forward to the most. It's our game of the week, Alcoa at Maryville. And no, I'm not letting you pick a draw on this one.
This is just the one that's so tough. Alcoa's number one. Maryville, I got to throw my 1 and 2 out the window right now. So let's look at Maryville. Home field advantage, yes. They've got one of the. I mean, they will look up. So they're playing. They go on the road too, so it's not like they wouldn't show up. Alcoa's student section is going to show up, but so we go to Powell, and then I'm listening to them. There's this really a good receiver on Powell, and they're chanting something about TikTok, like he's on TikTok. They do their research. I mean, they are. I'm sure both of these student sections do, but I think what it's going to come down to, and there's one key factor that I've seen this year early on is that it's Noah Vaughn for Maryville. Noah Vaughn is he's a stud back. He's going to UVA. He really helps. He's helped Matthew Clemmer try kind of get his footing as the QB1 this year. And I think Clemmer now has some confidence. Maryville, I think they're going to come out and they're going to take an early lead. And I think Alcoa is going to come back. And, they'll catch up with them again. But this could be an overtime game. I like Maryville.
Yeah, I mean Maryville's won every game since 18. So
yeah, I mean with Alcoa not winning since 18, it just makes it tough. And with them, Maryville being at home, I just think I think they're going to take what they learned from the way that game ended against Farragut, and they're going to make the corrections. You heard Coach Derek Hunt talking about in the interview. These are things they have to clean up before they play Alcoa, and I think they will clean them up because they came off a win where they had a lot of teachable moments like that. I'm not saying that Alcoa didn't, but when you beat someone 61-6, and you cruise through Gatlinburg-Pittman in the second half the week before, I'm just ready to see this game. I'll take Maryville, but it'll be by 2.
Okay, I think that's a very fair analysis. It could go either way, truly.
I'll have some Alcoa people mad, but maybe they won't be mad at the Hop because it's in Maryville.
Hey, look, you've had them as number 1 in the top 10 all week. Oh, yeah, go see him at the Hop on Friday night if you got problems with it.
Come see me at the Hop.
All right, it's time for our final thoughts, Brian. What you got as we close out?
Some of the other games going on, not to call them leftovers. That may be what we start calling them. You got Claiborne at Northview as Northview tries to get their second win of the season after that brutal Alcoa loss. You have a rivalry game here, Heritage and Blount. Now, with Blount, the way they've been playing, Heritage has a very good shot to go 2-2 after not winning a game at all last year. So that would be huge for former Vols coach Joel Osovich, who has now taken over that Heritage program in his first year. And Blount's 0-3, so they would fall to 0-4 if Heritage is able to go to 2-2. So one of these teams is going to kind of get off the snide. Cocke County and Seymour, that's a good opportunity for Cocke County to kind of dig out of, won their first game, lost their last two. Now Seymour, they're looking to go 3-1. They're looking to build upon that momentum since the GP loss. Morristown East at Campbell County. We've got Chucky Doak at Granger. This is a winnable game for Granger. Chucky Doak's 2-1. They're both 2-1. Chucky Doak's coming off of a win over Johnson County. So Granger, they could get to 3-1 in that game. Halls at Jeff County. This is a great opportunity. Halls is winless. Great opportunity for Jeff. Once again, we're not to that convincing win yet. This would be another, just a notch in their belt, but it's not a quality opponent. But Jeff is taking care of business. They're taking care of business. That's all you can ask a team to do right now. Wins like 45-6, 42-3, scores of those sort. You can't ask them to do much more right now. So TKA at Grace Christian. Grace Christian is 0-2. Both of these teams are reeling right now. TKA 1-2 after the loss to Howard. And that rounds us out this year. We've got several rivalry games with that battle. I call it kind of the battle of the Parkway. Sevier and Pigeon Forge, Alcoa Maryville, and then William Blount versus Heritage. So it should be a good week, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely a good week for the teams that we cover. So we want to remind everybody throughout the week, if you have score updates and finals, you can text us at 865-268-9088. That's 865-268-9088. Also, if you want to join the team and be a part of our coverage, you can get exclusive access to coaches' interviews, extended videos, and exclusive stories by joining our team at patreon.com/SmokyMTN Sports, patreon.com/SmokyMTN Sports. Also, you can find our podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Brian, it's been a great week, and we are looking forward to another busy week. It's week 4 of high school and week 2 of college.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.